If the Range Rover is the epitome of SUV style, then this, the Range Rover Sport, is more Harry Styles. And no, that's not some terrible One Direction joke, bear with me here. What I'm saying is that this car is an absolute chart topper in our country. Since it went on sale here 18 years ago, it has been New Zealand's best-selling Land Rover. Now back then, the Sport shared a lot of its underpinnings with the Discovery. The third edition is all Range Rover. In fact, some things are even identical, like the wheelbase. And that means plenty of room here in the back seats. I'm just over 6 foot, and you can see just how much space there is, and that front seat is where I had it for driving. You know, I'd always considered the Sport to be the baby Range Rover, but looking at the numbers, they've never been closer. It comes with the same powertrains, has the same tow rating, same width, same wheelbase. The only difference is the Sport is 10 centimetres shorter, 5 centimetres lower, and around 80 kilos lighter. But it's close, say non-identical twins rather than just siblings. Different boots, as not the twin opening of the Range Rover, the single-piece tailgate, but the boot is exactly the same size as the Range Rover, and you get this very cool origami-style boot splitter. And in New Zealand, it comes with a full-size spare wheel. Well, speaking of things being full-size, how about this roof spoiler? It's jumbo. In fact, I don't know the proper design terms, but I think about another centimetre, and that qualifies as a balcony. Hey, back to the whole Range Rover thing and this being so close to the Range Rover, that's a very, very good thing. Just click on the top right to see what we thought of the Rangie when we first drove it last year. Let's talk Sport. This new car sits a couple of centimetres lower than the last model. There are familiar touches like the trademark Sport trim details and the floating roof, but the evolution from square edge to curved is now complete. Land Rover call this reductive design. It's sleeker and smoother. Minimalist, though, seems like the wrong word to use for a car this substantial, but there is no doubt that the Sport has followed the Range Rover into the era of flushness. A very clean design for a car designed to get very, very dirty. It is a Land Rover, after all. And we've had some fun in Land Rovers, like an out first Defender drive. This feels unbelievable. 29 degrees 30. Whoa. Whoa. And if you want to see that full video, here's the link. But my level of extreme is no match for Land Rovers. So this is what the Range Rover Sport can do in the hands of Jessica Hawkins on a nice landing spillway.
There's no visibility.
And there's also a link to the full video here. Now back to slightly smoother roads. On paper, this is the closest Sport has come to Range Rover. But what seems to be such a tiny difference on paper feels worlds apart once you're behind the wheel. Like the Rangie, air suspension is standard, and the handling pack, which includes four-wheel steering and those trick 48-volt electric roll bars, is an option on this version. Even without that magic wand, this Sport still delivers a much tighter ride than the Rangie. You could even call it sporty. With the 400 horsepower 3-litre 6 and 8-speed gearbox, this Sport will hit 105.8 seconds. By the way, the P530 version takes just 4.5. The Range Rover Sport really does feel calibrated for agility to the extent that I'm starting to forget about its size and weight. And I don't think it's just down to the ride. It's where I'm sitting right now, and I've confirmed this. You actually sit 2 centimetres lower in the Range Rover Sport. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it feels like a lot. Add to that the more steeply raked windscreen, and well, everything's a little bit more raked. And I suppose the difference is the Range Rover is an amazing cabin. This is an awesome cockpit. As with the exterior, minimalism is at play inside the Sport, but you don't have to look too hard to spot the genius at play. That PHEV Pro screen is curved to minimise reflection, and it's a graphic and functional masterpiece with some truly clever features,
including the ability to see what you're driving over. Oh, the things I do. Whoa.
Well, no one else was dumb enough to volunteer to do that, were they? And you're well covered from a communications point of view. There's Amazon Alexa, Android Auto and CarPlay. Now the tech isn't the only thing it shares with the Range Rover. The interior is also top notch. Okay, so maybe it's a notch down from the Range Rover, but everywhere you look in here is absolute quality. It's a class-leading interior. You've got double glazing. You can also spec that cool noise-cancelling feature from the Range Rover. At Archibald Shorter, the Range Rover Sport is priced from $179,900 up to $259,900. This P400 with the 3-litre 6 is the middle ground at $229,900. There are diesel options and a raft of plug-in hybrid versions also on the way to New Zealand. So this is very much today's Range Rover Sport. In fact, Land Rover described this as redefining sporting luxury, which it does. It's the sharpest driving sport yet. What it's not though is hard-edged. It's too comfortable to refine for that. And thanks to the plug-in versions, it's also the cleanest Range Rover Sport ever. Sort of goes with that clean design.